Japan, the home of anime, sushi, and fantastic culture. Japan is a major global supplier of high-quality cars, ranging from fuel-efficient eco-boxes to jaw-dropping twin-turbo sports cars. Any enthusiast for automobiles worth their salt has at least once harbored fantasies about a Japanese sports car. And what's even better about them is that they usually outperform other cars in their price range, even if they can't match an Italian supercar straight out of the factory. Many Japanese vehicles are capable of outperforming supercars, and in this video, I'll tell you about 7 of them that you should be aware of. If you're new to our channel, we discuss great cars and other things, so click the subscribe button and let's get started. Even if I personally think it's a touch overpriced, the first automobile on my list, the 2JZ Pack-In Smooth Bodyline Sports Automobile, should still be there because of its really incredible second-hand market value. We're talking about the Mark IV Supra, which you are aware of and adore. The Supra is a popular vehicle in the tuner culture, akin to the iPhone of customized automobiles. Originating from the streets of Mount Haruna underground car meetings and eliciting panic at drag strips, the renowned 2JZ is essentially a do-it-all tuner car. As the storied 2JZ block is strong and powerful enough to support up to 800 horsepower without requiring any modification, the Toyota Supra can be tuned to outrageous levels without requiring significant work on the bottom end. Unlike other tuner vehicles, saving you time and money to smoke supercars. You can't go wrong with the Supra. That is, until you decide to buy one, because it has some pretty intimidating looks to match its supercar slaying performance. The design adheres to the classic sports car ideology, with a long front hood packing a big engine under it, followed by a smooth swooping cockpit to a smooth tail end. What is the price of them? That's when things become a little tricky. Now that the Supra has become a cult classic and car values have taken notice, a premium example of a Mark IV Supra will likely start at around $50,000 and go for up to 3 times that amount. So, you have to decide whether to buy a used 1990 Supra or a brand new Mark V for roughly the same price. Choose wisely, okay? Well, since the Supra won the JDM Horsepower Wars, it's kind of the obvious first choice as a giant killing tuner. This next car, which I would refer to as the runner-up, is the JDM Horsepower Wharf. When you marinate the iconic Nissan 240Z for a few generations, you get the 300ZX Twin Turbo. The 240Z is one of the greatest cars to ever come out of Japan, and you can learn more about it in this video I made. It's been around for over 50 years, so chances are you know someone who has owned one. Originally, the Z car was a light sports car that evolved into a luxurious Grand Tour vehicle with the Z32 generation, but it's still not a slouch. The Z32 300ZX is fantastic as is. It has a twin-turbo V6 engine that can produce up to 300 horsepower, depending on the dyno you use. It can reach highway speeds in just 5 seconds, which was unheard of in 1990. It is also the first car entirely designed by computers. However, this means that the engine bay has some packaging issues, which makes working on or modifying the Z32 an absolute nightmare. Fortunately, you are wealthy, and if you throw enough money at a car, everything will work out. All things considered, the 300ZX Z32 generation is a challenging but wonderful car to own, and is unquestionably one of my favorite 90s sports cars. You can push a Z32 up to 500 or 600 horsepower if you have enough money in your pocket. If you cashed in on those stocks, maybe you can afford to build something like the Devil Z, a drag strip demon that really proves what the 300ZX is capable of. Owning a great twin-turbo 5-speed 300ZX will cost you around 15 grand, which is about 1/10 of the price of a good Supra. Fortunately, unlike the Supra, you won't have to sell your children to acquire one. You will enjoy every second of driving that beast. And with the extra cash you save by not purchasing a Supra and giving into the enormous hype, you could develop that vehicle to absurdly high horsepower levels. Plus, you could tell your friends that you really drive a car with headlights that match a Lamborghini. Indeed, after doing some research, you'll see that the 300ZX isn't the only outstanding triangle to emerge out of the 1990s. Tell me in the comments below what type drill you prefer, and then settle in for a discussion on the FD-RX-7. That's accurate. The Mazda RX-7, which substitutes a spinning geometry engine for your standard piston engine, will be the loudest part of the video for you guys. The RX-7 is unique because of a tiny little thing under the hood called a triangular concoction that allows it to rev to an extremely high level and produce tons of horsepower. With a redline of up to 8,000 RPM, the infamous rotary engine catapulted the RX-7 into the ranks of 90 sports cars as soon as it was released in 1993. If someone complains about the noise, just tell them you're taking good care of your vehicle because it's actually advised to redline your rotary regularly to clear carbon buildup. The RX-7's build possibilities must be discussed here, as this is obviously a collection of Japanese tuning icons. If you attend any drift event in Japan, whether amateur or professional, you will probably see an RX-7 tearing tires. This is because the RX-7 is designed to outperform cars in its weight class. With the correct turbo combination, it can produce up to 700 horsepower. However, if you push the red line above the 8,000 RPM limit, headphones should be used with caution. If you want to get really cheap, get a non-turbo one and swap out the motor for less than you would pay for a turbo model right now. We've already covered drag strip monarchs and drift monsters, so let's wrap things off by talking about an off-road vehicle. This is the Lancer Evolution 9, your JDM Red Pill. The Lancer has been a part of the Mitsubishi lineup for a very long time. It began life as an ordinary old commuter car, not much different from a Camry, while its larger brother, the Gallant, was having all the fun. Mitsubishi had been competing with these big sedans for a while, and they were fairly successful at it. But like most other sports cars, the World Rally Championship required the manufacturers to produce a street car version of their race car in order to comply with the homologation rules. This requirement may be the best rule in all of racing, as it allowed the manufacturer to create the 9 generations of the Lancer Evolution, which have since evolved into what most people would consider to be the model's best iteration. This is the most recognizable and well-known generation of the Lancer Evolution. If you haven't seen the Top Gear review of the Lancer Evolution, you really should.
This car could go round a corner faster than a Lamborghini Murcielago.
With full-time all-wheel drive and an ACD system for power distribution, the Evo 9 was designed with performance in mind from the start. With a few tweaks, the Lancer Evolution was able to keep up with a lot of supercars and even smoke some of them on the track. The Lancer Evo 9 is unquestionably the smart choice if you want to light up a Ferrari on the way to hockey practice with all your gear in trunk. However, it's not uncommon to see some of these pushing upwards of 700. This is one of the cars on the list that does not sacrifice practicality to be that fast. I mean, it has 4 doors and a trunk. If the Lance Evolution is the red pill, our next pick is the blue pill. Yes, you are correct. We're talking about a rivalry that has been developing for decades. We're talking about the Subaru WRX STI. The WRX STI is a rally car legend, having undergone the same development process as the Lancer Evolution. Subaru has a long history of dominating the rally world thanks to the Subaru legacy, but those damn regulations forced them to create something lighter and smaller. As a result, they shifted to the appraisal platform, added a turbo, and gave the STI some rally spec goodness. Now, after multiple generations, the Subaru WRX STI has surpassed the Evo in longevity and is still going strong. Subaru has even pledged to keep producing the STI for many more years to come. One of my favorite things about the Subaru WRX STI is that it was originally designed as a wagon. Sadly, the younger generations don't, and if you disagree, you aren't a true car enthusiast unless you enjoy fast wagons. Additionally, anyone who has watched Ideal for any length of time knows that there are numerous online videos of STIs destroying tires, streets, curbs, and even themselves. Now, let's continue the all-wheel drive theme with our next vehicle. This one has a lot of experience in group racing in Japan during the 1990s, but it has no history in rally racing. We're talking about the beast from the east, the son of Godzilla, the R33 GTR. I can already imagine what you're thinking. Purchase the R32 GTR, which is essentially Godzilla, or, if you want to wait a few years, the R34, which is a true supercar slaying monster and essentially a PlayStation on wheels. Yet, this less adored middle kid could be the best option after all. You see, the R33 isn't as well known as the R32, R34, and R35 that came before it as a Nissan Performance Halo vehicle. Because of this, we believe that the R33 generation deserves some recognition for living up to its name, even though very few people did so until the mid-1990s. The R33 shared the R32's well-known all-wheel drive and inline-6 platform, but it also underwent additional improvements and tweaks to stay competitive. Why not go with the obvious option? The less obvious option is the Acura Integra. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't he say Type R? Well, because used Type R prices are crazy right now. So instead of buying a Type R for a fifth of the price, let's talk about how to get Type R performance from something else. Even if you don't get the Type R model, you still get a legendary VTEC powered B-Series motor in an Integra that makes about 140 horsepower and 127 foot-pounds of torque at most trim levels. Yes, that's nothing compared to the other cars on this list. Which car on this list was your favorite? Which one did we forget? I don't really need to tell you, but please let us know in the comments below. While you're there, please hit the like button, click subscribe, and turn on the little bell. Well, maybe not, because it makes a nice sound. In any case, we'll be sending you content like this almost every other day.